The following video content is intended strictly for educational and entertainment purposes and does not constitute professional financial, legal, or business management advice. The software platforms, business strategies, and operational methodologies discussed in this review are based on historical trends, case studies, and publicly available data as of 2026. Every auto repair business is unique, and potential outcomes will vary significantly based on your specific market, operational efficiency, management execution, and implementation strategies. We strongly advise all business owners to conduct their own independent due diligence, consult with certified financial advisors or IT professionals, and thoroughly evaluate any software platform before making contractual or financial commitments. The auto repair industry is highly regulated, and software compliance regarding consumer data protection, invoicing, environmental fee tracking, and state tax reporting is solely the responsibility of the business owner. Do not make sweeping changes to your business infrastructure without a calculated transition plan. Right now, an invisible disease is quietly killing thousands of independent auto repair shops across the United States. It is not a shortage of skilled technicians, although that is a real challenge. It is not the rising cost of parts or the complexities of electric vehicle maintenance. The silent killer of the modern auto repair business is administrative suffocation. Historical trends over the last 3 years show that a staggering number of shop closures did not happen because the owners did not know how to fix cars. They happened because the owners did not know how to run a profitable business in a digital-first economy. They are bleeding thousands of dollars a week in lost billable hours, missed core returns, unapproved estimates, and customer attrition, all because they are using archaic, disconnected systems to manage a highly complex logistical operation. Think about this shocking reality. Case studies indicate that the average shop owner loses up to 2 hours per day just chasing down parts authorizations, decoding illegible technician handwriting on greasy paper repair orders, and playing phone tag with customers who simply will not answer a voice call in 2026. If you are a shop owner, a service advisor, or an automotive entrepreneur in the United States, you are standing on a battlefield. The technological evolution of vehicles has accelerated exponentially. You are no longer just turning wrenches, you are diagnosing rolling computer networks. Yet, the tragic irony is that while the cars in your bays require highly sophisticated laptops and diagnostic scanners to even read a fault code, the front counter of the shop is still operating like it is 1998. You have a legacy server sitting in a dusty closet, software that crashes when you try to run a simple profit and loss report, and a scheduling system that consists of a dry erase board and a stack of sticky notes. This massive disconnect between the technology in the service bay and the technology at the service desk is exactly where your profit margins go to die. I am going to share a high-stakes scenario with you, and if you own a shop, this will sound painfully familiar. Imagine it is a Tuesday morning. Your top technician, who costs you top dollar per hour, finishes a brake job and an inspection. He writes down the needed additional repairs on a paper sheet and hands it to the service advisor. The service advisor is currently on the phone with a parts supplier trying to track down an alternator, while simultaneously trying to cash out a frustrated customer whose vehicle was supposed to be ready an hour ago. The technician's notes sit on the desk for 45 minutes. During those 45 minutes, your top technician is sweeping the floor, waiting for the next dispatch. That is unbilled, entirely wasted time. Finally, the advisor enters the notes into an outdated system, builds the estimate, and calls the customer. The customer does not answer. Another hour passes. The car takes up valuable real estate on a lift. When the customer finally calls back, they are skeptical of the repairs because they cannot see the damage, and they decline the high-margin fluid flushes. You just lost hundreds of dollars in potential revenue, wasted an hour of technician time, and frustrated everyone involved. This is the exact cycle of failure that is forcing generational auto shops to sell out to massive corporate consolidators. But there is a complete alternative to this chaos, and that is exactly what we are going to master in this video. The landscape has shifted, and the software you choose to run your shop is now the single most critical employee you will ever hire. Today, I am giving you the definitive deep dive review of the top 5 best auto repair shop software platforms in the USA for 2026. This is not a surface-level summary or a quick list of features. We are going to tear down the exact architecture of these systems to show you how they fundamentally rewire your business for maximum efficiency and potential profitability. The modern US consumer expects a seamless, transparent, and digital experience. They want a link sent to their phone where they can view high-definition photos of their worn brake pads, Read the technician's exact notes, approve the work with a single tap, and pay the invoice via Apple Pay before they even walk through your front door. We are going to explore how the right management system acts as the central nervous system of your entire operation. We will examine case studies of shops that transitioned to cloud-based platforms and saw their average repair order values surge simply because they implemented integrated digital vehicle inspections. When a customer can literally see the cracked serpentine belt on their smartphone screen, the trust barrier evaporates, and the approval process drops from hours to minutes. We are going to dive deep into inventory management automation, showing you how these top 5 platforms integrate directly with major US parts suppliers like Epicor and Nextbart, allowing your advisors to check local availability, order parts, and pull exact labor times into the estimate without ever leaving the primary software window. This single feature eliminates the constant toggling between browser tabs that creates costly data entry errors. Furthermore, we will address the critical issue of customer retention and automated marketing. You will learn how modern software does not just track what happened yesterday, but actively drives revenue for tomorrow. We will look at built-in CRM tools that automatically text customers when their next oil change is due, send thank you follow-ups after a major repair, and gently solicit positive Google reviews to dominate your local SEO rankings. We will also dissect the reporting and analytics engines of these platforms. You cannot manage what you do not measure. We will show you how to track technician efficiency, service advisor closing ratios, effective labor rates, and gross profit margins on parts versus labor in real time. By the end of this masterclass, you will have a comprehensive understanding of the technological landscape, empowering you to make a highly educated decision that can potentially transform your chaotic garage into a streamlined, highly optimized, and incredibly professional automotive service enterprise. We are going to break down the pricing models, the onboarding processes, the hidden fees, and the specific types of shops each software is best suited for, whether you are a two-bay transmission specialist or a multi-location general repair juggernaut. Right out of the gate, coming in as a heavyweight contender for 2026, we have Autoleap. If you analyze the trajectory of shop management platforms over the last 3 years, Autoleap has aggressively captured market share across the United States, and when you look under the hood of their architecture, it is incredibly obvious why. This platform is not just a digital ledger. It is an all-in-one ecosystem engineered specifically to automate the mundane tasks that drain your service advisor's mental energy. Autoleap is fundamentally built on the premise that the less time your staff spends doing manual data entry, the more time they can spend building high-value relationships with your customers. Let us look at a practical boots-on-the-ground scenario to understand how this translates to potential outcomes in a real US market. Imagine a shop owner named David, who operates a bustling 6-bay general repair facility in suburban Chicago in 2026. David is dealing with a classic industry bottleneck. His technicians are diagnosing complex drivability issues correctly, but his service writers are struggling to sell the recommended repairs over the phone because the customers simply do not understand automotive jargon. They hear the words variable valve timing solenoid and immediately assume they are being upsold. David implements Autoleap, and the entire paradigm shifts over a weekend. The core feature that drives this transformation is Autoleap's natively integrated digital vehicle inspection system, commonly referred to as a DVI. Instead of a technician writing notes on a greasy clipboard, they take a ruggedized tablet directly into the service bay. As the technician performs a standard multi-point inspection, they are not just checking boxes on a screen. If they discover a heavily worn control arm bushing, they use the tablet to take a high-resolution photograph or even a short video of the excessive play in the suspension component. They use the software to draw a bright red circle directly on the digital image, highlighting the exact point of failure. The technician then selects the precise labor times from the integrated labor matrix, adds the required parts directly from connected vendors like Nextbart or PartsTech, and hits submit. Within seconds, this comprehensive, highly visual inspection report is securely texted directly to the customer's smartphone. The customer is sitting in their office or at home, and they receive a link. When they click it, they are not looking at a confusing spreadsheet. They are looking at undeniable photographic evidence of their failing vehicle components, paired with an exact breakdown of the costs. This level of extreme transparency completely eliminates the trust barrier that has plagued the auto repair industry for decades. Case studies and historical trends show that shops utilizing high-quality DVI processes frequently see their average repair order values increase significantly, sometimes by 20 to 30%, simply because the customer can clearly see what needs to be fixed. They can authorize the repair with a digital signature right from their phone, which instantly updates the workflow dashboard back at the shop, moving the ticket from pending to approved. David's service advisor never even had to make a phone call, yet a $1,000 repair order was just authorized. But Autoleap does not stop at the sale. Once the job is completed, the system seamlessly transitions into its automated invoicing and payment processing protocols. The days of physically running a credit card through a countertop terminal and printing duplicate receipts are entirely over. Autoleap allows your customers to pay their final bill via a secure payment link sent via text or email, facilitating options like Apple Pay, Google Pay, and standard credit card processing before they even arrive to pick up their keys. Furthermore, the software immediately syncs this financial transaction directly into QuickBooks Online. This eliminates the need for your bookkeeper to spend hours every Friday manually reconciling repair orders against bank deposits, drastically reducing the risk of human error and saving you significant accounting fees. We must also critically examine Autoleap's automated marketing and customer relationship management suite. In 2026, acquiring a new customer in the United States is exponentially more expensive than retaining an existing one. Autoleap recognizes this by putting your customer retention on autopilot. The software continuously mines your customer database. If it notices that Sarah from down the street has not been in for an oil change in 6 months, the system automatically sends her a personalized, friendly text message reminder with a direct link to your shop's online scheduling calendar. If she clicks the link, she can book her appointment for next Tuesday without speaking to a single human being. After her service is completed, the system waits 24 hours and automatically texts her a polite request for a Google review, providing a direct link to your Google business profile. This automated reputation management creates a compounding loop of localized SEO dominance, pushing your shop to the very top of the search results when someone nearby searches for a mechanic. However, no software is perfect, and we must look at the objective realities of implementing Autoleap. Because it is such an expansive, all-encompassing platform, the initial learning curve can be steep for shops that are transitioning from purely paper-based systems or highly antiquated legacy software. Your older technicians might resist the transition to tablets, requiring patient and persistent training. Additionally, while their pricing structure has become more accommodating recently, it still represents a significant monthly investment, meaning you must be absolutely committed to utilizing the features to their maximum potential to justify the cost and realize the high return on investment that the platform is capable of generating. This brings us directly to our second major contender, a platform that recognized the complexity of legacy systems and decided to completely reinvent the user interface from the ground up. This software was built specifically for the shop owner who wants massive power but refuses to compromise on aesthetics and ease of use. If you have service advisors who are easily overwhelmed by cluttered screens looking like an airline cockpit, this next platform was engineered specifically to solve their daily anxiety. Imagine a system so intuitive that a brand new hire could theoretically write a complex repair order on their very first day without asking a single question. That is the exact philosophy driving ShopMonkey, and what they are doing with asynchronous customer communication is fundamentally changing how American service writers manage their chaotic front counters. Let us tear into the exact mechanics of ShopMonkey and see why thousands of independent shops are migrating to their ecosystem right now. If you walk into a traditional auto repair shop today and look at the computer screen on the service desk, it usually looks like a spreadsheet from 1995 exploded. It is a terrifying wall of gray grids, tiny text, and hidden drop-down menus. This visual clutter creates immense cognitive load for your employees. ShopMonkey looked at this industry-wide problem and completely revolutionized the user interface by implementing a visually stunning, drag-and-drop Kanban board system. If you have ever used project management tools in the corporate world, you immediately understand the genius of this approach. Instead of digging through menus to find a repair order, every single vehicle in your shop is represented by a digital card on a highly organized visual dashboard. Imagine a service advisor named Michael running the front counter of a high-volume European specialty shop in Dallas, Texas, in the year 2026. On a typical Tuesday morning, he has 12 cars in the parking lot, 4 on the lifts, 3 waiting for parts, and 5 waiting for customer pickup. In a legacy system, keeping track of this workflow requires constant mental gymnastics and running back and forth to the bays. With ShopMonkey, Michael looks at a single centralized monitor. He sees exactly which stage every vehicle is in at a glance. When a technician finishes an inspection, the digital card automatically moves to the Needs Approval column. When Michael orders a water pump and a timing belt, he physically clicks and drags the customer's card into the waiting on parts column. This color-coded, visual pipeline creates absolute operational clarity. It fundamentally reduces the anxiety of the service advisor, leading to fewer mistakes, better customer service, and a dramatically more peaceful work environment. But the aesthetic brilliance of ShopMonkey is just the top layer. The true financial power of this software lies in its integrated communication and payment ecosystem, which is designed to remove every single point of friction between your estimate and the customer's wallet. Historical trends over the last few years prove that consumers are increasingly screening their phone calls. If your business model relies on a customer answering a voice call from an unknown number to approve a $2,000 repair, you are setting yourself up for failure. ShopMonkey circumvents this entirely with robust two-way text messaging built directly into the platform. All communication, from appointment reminders to digital vehicle inspection links, happens in a continuous text thread that is permanently logged inside the customer's profile. Let us break down a high-stakes transaction to see potential outcomes in action. A customer brings in a 2019 SUV with a severe oil leak. The technician performs the digital inspection, identifying a leaking rear main seal, which is a highly labor-intensive, expensive job. Michael builds the estimate in ShopMonkey, seamlessly pulling the exact labor times from the integrated labor matrix and sourcing the parts instantly through the native parts tech integration. With one click, he texts the comprehensive estimate, complete with high-definition photos of the leaking seal, directly to the customer. Now, here is where ShopMonkey provides a massive competitive advantage in the 2026 economy: integrated financing. Facing a $3,000 unexpected repair bill, many consumers would be forced to decline the work or delay it indefinitely. However, ShopMonkey's checkout process includes native buy now, pay later options directly on the mobile estimate. The customer can apply for consumer financing right from their smartphone, get approved in seconds, and authorize the repair without ever feeling the embarrassment of asking for a payment plan at the front counter. This specific feature is a masterclass in psychological sales, and case studies indicate it drastically increases the closing ratio on high-ticket repair orders. Once the vehicle is fixed, the payment collection process is equally streamlined. ShopMonkey utilizes advanced payment processing infrastructure, allowing shops to send a secure text-to-pay link. The customer pays online before they even arrange a ride back to the shop. When they arrive, Michael simply hands them the keys. The transaction is already complete, the invoice is automatically closed out, and the financial data is synced directly to QuickBooks Online. This seamless integration eliminates the dreaded end-of-day reconciliation bottleneck that keeps shop owners buried in paperwork long after the garage doors have closed. Furthermore, ShopMonkey has heavily invested in its parts ordering and inventory management architecture. The software connects directly with major wholesale distributors. If Michael needs to find a specific European alternator, he does not have to open 4 different browser tabs to check inventory at various local suppliers. He performs a single search within ShopMonkey, and the system aggregates live inventory and wholesale pricing from all connected vendors simultaneously. He clicks order, the parts are dispatched, and the exact cost is automatically imported into the customer's repair order, ensuring that profit margins are strictly maintained and no parts are ever accidentally left off the final invoice. However, we must operate in reality and examine the potential trade-offs. The intense focus on a clean, simplified user interface means that highly complex, multi-location enterprise shops with incredibly rigid, customized standard operating procedures might find ShopMonkey slightly restrictive compared to older, more convoluted legacy systems. Additionally, while their payment processing is heavily integrated and convenient, some user data indicates that payout processing times can occasionally stretch to 72 hours, which is a critical cash flow consideration for smaller operations that rely on immediate capital. Finally, to access the most powerful features, like the native labor guides, advanced inventory management, and full QuickBooks integration, you must subscribe to their highest tier, the Genius Monkey Plan. This requires a calculated assessment of your shop's revenue to ensure the investment yields a positive return. While ShopMonkey is capturing the hearts of service advisors who crave simplicity, there is another massive demographic of shop owners who demand something entirely different. They do not just want a sleek interface, they want an aggressive, data-driven war room. They want to track every single micrometric of technician efficiency, calculate exact profit margins down to the penny in real time, and manage a rapidly scaling operation that might span across multiple cities. If you are an owner obsessed with the numbers, and you are ready to hold your entire team relentlessly accountable to their key performance indicators, then this next software platform was engineered specifically for your brain. Get ready, because we are about to dissect the ultimate command center for the modern automotive entrepreneur. Welcome to the absolute powerhouse that is Techmetric. If you look at the historical trends of shops scaling over the last half-decade, Techmetric has consistently emerged as the software of choice for owners who operate strictly by the numbers. This is not just a tool for writing repair orders. It is a microscopic lens into the financial health of your entire automotive operation. Techmetric was built on a very specific philosophy. Service advisors should focus entirely on the customer, technicians should focus entirely on the vehicle, and the software should invisibly capture, calculate, and analyze every single metric generated by those interactions. In the highly competitive landscape of 2026, relying on gut feelings or end-of-month accounting statements to run your business is a rapid path to insolvency. You need real-time data, and that is exactly what this platform delivers with surgical precision. Let us drop into an imagine-if scenario to truly understand the potential outcomes of deploying Techmetric. Imagine a shop owner named Richard, who runs a massive, high-volume 12-bay operation in Columbus, Ohio. Richard has a major problem. His shop is constantly full, his technicians are sweating through their uniforms, and his gross revenue looks fantastic on paper. Yet, at the end of every single month, his net profit margin is dangerously thin. He cannot figure out where the money is bleeding out of his business because his legacy software only gives him generalized daily totals. Richard migrates his operation to Techmetric, and within 30 days, the advanced analytics engine completely exposes the fatal flaws in his business model. Techmetric's real-time reporting dashboard tracks the exact effective labor rate for every single technician on staff. Richard discovers that his highest-paid master technician, who is brilliant at diagnosing complex electrical issues, is routinely being dispatched to do standard brake jobs and fluid flushes by a stressed service advisor. Because the master technician's base pay is so high, every time he performs low-tier work, the shop's profit margin plummets. Furthermore, Techmetric's granular parts profitability reports reveal a massive discrepancy. The shop's target gross profit margin on parts is 50%, but the software shows they are only hitting 32%. Why? Because the service advisors are manually overriding the pricing to give discounts to complaining customers, effectively giving away the shop's profit just to close the sale. With Techmetric, Richard instantly locks down the system. He implements a strict parts markup matrix built directly into the software. When a service writer sources a radiator from a local supplier through the seamless parts tech integration, the software automatically calculates the correct selling price based on Richard's exact profit parameters. The service advisor physically cannot lower the price without management authorization. Instantly, the parts profit margin stabilizes. Furthermore, Richard uses the technician efficiency reports to completely restructure his dispatching system, ensuring that low-level maintenance is exclusively routed to apprentice technicians, while his expensive master technicians are reserved for high-margin diagnostic work. Case studies of shops implementing these exact data-driven corrections frequently show massive increases in net profitability without requiring a single extra car to enter the parking lot. Beyond the analytics, Techmetric boasts an incredibly robust, cloud-based architecture that makes it a dream for multi-location scaling. If you are an ambitious entrepreneur in 2026 with goals of opening your second, third, or fourth location, traditional server-based software will create a logistical nightmare. You would need physical servers at every location and clunky remote desktop protocols just to see your daily numbers. Techmetric operates entirely in the cloud. You can sit in a coffee shop in Miami, open your laptop, and instantly toggle between the real-time dashboards of your shops in Ohio, Texas, and Georgia. You can compare the average repair order values across different regions, monitor inventory levels at each facility, and even transfer parts between your own stores with a few clicks. The system centralizes your entire customer database, meaning if a customer from your Northside location breaks down near your Southside location, the service advisor instantly sees their complete vehicle history, outstanding recommendations, and previous inspection reports. The digital vehicle inspection system inside Techmetric is also meticulously engineered for maximum conversion. It functions similarly to the other top-tier platforms, allowing technicians to upload photos and videos, but Techmetric places a massive emphasis on building trust through educational transparency. The inspections can be heavily customized to include links to OEM maintenance schedules and educational animations that explain exactly why a dirty mass airflow sensor is destroying the customer's fuel economy. When the customer receives the text message containing the estimate, they are not just being asked for money, they are being provided with a comprehensive, objective health report of their vehicle. This educational approach historically reduces sales friction and positions your shop as a trusted consultant rather than a pushy salesperson. However, the deep analytical power of Techmetric does come with specific realities you must face. Because the system is so heavily reliant on process and data integrity, you cannot just hand this software to an undisciplined team and expect miracles. If your technicians refuse to clock in and out of individual jobs properly, the efficiency reports will be completely useless. If your service advisors bypass the inventory system to buy parts on a personal credit card to save time, the profit matrix collapses. Techmetric requires strict adherence to standard operating procedures. The learning curve is not necessarily in the software interface itself, which is actually remarkably clean and intuitive, but rather in the behavioral changes required by your staff. You have to train your team to feed the machine the correct data. Additionally, as a pure cloud-based system, a catastrophic internet outage in your local area will temporarily halt your operation, making a cellular backup router a mandatory piece of hardware for your shop. We have now covered the software built for the modern marketer, the software built for the visual organizer, and the software built for the analytical mastermind. But what if you operate a shop that handles a totally different beast? What if you are not just fixing Honda Civics and Toyota Camrys? What if you run a heavy-duty diesel repair facility, managing fleets of commercial box trucks, municipal vehicles, and massive big rigs? The platforms we just discussed will completely fall apart under the weight of commercial fleet management. They cannot handle complex preventive maintenance schedules for 50 truck fleets, Department of Transportation inspections, or specialized heavy-duty parts sourcing. If you wrench on the giants of the highway, you need a completely different breed of software. You need an industrial-grade platform designed specifically to keep America's supply chain moving. In the next section, we are going to look at the undisputed king of heavy-duty repair management, and the features inside will completely blow your mind. Enter FullBay, a platform that did not just adapt passenger car software for big trucks, but literally built an entirely new operational language for the commercial repair industry. If you are servicing Class 8 tractors, heavy-duty trailers, refrigerated units, or agricultural equipment, the stakes are exponentially higher than replacing a radiator on a commuter sedan. When a consumer's vehicle breaks down, they are inconvenienced. When a commercial freight truck breaks down, a logistics company is losing thousands of dollars a day in delayed shipments, missed delivery windows, and driver downtime. Historical trends in the commercial transport sector show that fleet managers do not choose their mechanics based on the lowest hourly rate. They choose the mechanic who can guarantee the absolute fastest turnaround time and the most rigorous preventative maintenance tracking. They are buying uptime, and FullBay is the digital infrastructure that allows you to sell exactly that. Let us dive into a highly specific case study to understand the potential outcomes of deploying this industrial-grade software. Imagine an entrepreneur named Tom, who owns a massive 24-hour commercial diesel operation in Omaha, Nebraska, operating in the high-stakes logistics environment of 2026. Tom has 10 indoor bays capable of fitting full tractor-trailer combinations, plus a fleet of 6 fully loaded mobile service trucks that respond to roadside breakdowns along Interstate 80. Before FullBay, Tom's operation was buckling under the weight of administrative chaos. Fleet managers were calling his service desk 20 times a day, demanding status updates on their rigs, asking for copies of past Department of Transportation inspections, and fighting over illegible handwritten invoices from mobile technicians who were working in the pouring rain. Managing preventative maintenance schedules for 300 different trucks across a dozen different corporate clients using whiteboards and spreadsheets was mathematically impossible, leading to missed service intervals and catastrophic engine failures that infuriated his best clients. Tom migrates his entire heavy-duty operation to FullBay, and the foundational dynamic of his business transforms immediately. The absolute crown jewel of the FullBay ecosystem is its dedicated customer portal. Instead of a fleet manager calling Tom's service desk to ask if a truck is ready, that fleet manager has their own secure login to Tom's system. They can sit in their corporate dispatch office in Chicago, open the FullBay portal, and see the exact real-time status of every single piece of equipment they have entrusted to Tom's shop. But it goes so much deeper than just status updates. The portal automatically tracks the preventative maintenance schedules for every vehicle based on engine hours, mileage, and specific manufacturer guidelines. The fleet manager can literally see a color-coded dashboard showing which trucks are compliant, which trucks are due for an oil service next week, and which trucks have expired federal annual inspections. When Tom's shop generates an estimate for a blown turbocharger, the fleet manager receives a notification in the portal, reviews the heavy-duty parts breakdown and labor times, and clicks Approve. The approval is instantly time-stamped, legally binding, and seamlessly pushed to Tom's technicians. Case studies of heavy-duty shops utilizing the Full Bay portal demonstrate a massive reduction in incoming phone traffic, freeing up service writers to focus on high-level operational logistics rather than playing secretary. Furthermore, we must meticulously examine Full Bay's architecture regarding mobile repair operations, because in the heavy-duty world, the shop often has to go to the vehicle. Tom's mobile technicians are out on the side of the highway, dealing with hazardous conditions, limited internet connectivity, and intense pressure. Full Bay's mobile application is built specifically for this brutal environment. A mobile technician can arrive at a broken-down semi-truck, open the application on a ruggedized tablet, and clock directly into the specific repair order. Even if they are in a dead zone with zero cellular service, the application functions fully offline. The technician can document the failure, take time-stamped photos of shredded air brake lines, input the exact parts they are pulling off their mobile service truck's inventory, and capture the driver's electronic signature for the repair authorization. The moment the technician's tablet reconnects to a cellular network, all of that dense data instantly synchronizes back to the main server in Tom's office. The invoice is generated, the inventory on the service truck is depleted in the system, and the fleet manager is notified that the truck is back on the road. We also have to discuss the financial lifeline of any heavy-duty shop, which is core tracking and specialized inventory management. Unlike a standard passenger car shop where parts are relatively straightforward, heavy-duty repair involves massive, incredibly expensive components like remanufactured transmissions, diesel particulate filters, and high-pressure fuel pumps, all of which carry massive core charges. A core charge is essentially a deposit you pay to the parts vendor that you only get back when you return the broken part. In legacy systems, tracking these heavy-duty cores is a logistical nightmare, and shops routinely lose thousands of dollars a month by forgetting to return cores to the supplier. Full Bay heavily automates this entire life cycle. When Tom's parts manager orders a remanufactured engine, the software actively tracks the core charge, attaches it to the specific repair order, and creates a highly visible alert that refuses to clear until the physical core is shipped back to the manufacturer and the credit is received. This single feature completely plugs a massive financial leak that quietly destroys the net profitability of commercial repair facilities. However, we must strictly evaluate the reality of implementing Full Bay. Because it is so intensely specialized for the heavy-duty and commercial fleet industry, it is entirely inappropriate for a standard passenger vehicle repair shop. If your daily bread and butter consists of rotating tires on minivans and changing the oil on sedans, Full Bay will feel overwhelmingly complex and completely misaligned with your workflow. Its parts integrations, labor guides, and customer portals are hardwired specifically for commercial asset management. Additionally, this is enterprise-grade software, and the pricing structure reflects that reality. It is a significant financial investment designed for high-revenue operations that process massive volumes of parts and labor. It requires a dedicated onboarding process, rigorous staff training, and a complete commitment to utilizing its vast array of fleet management tools to justify the monthly expenditure. We have systematically explored the communicators, the visual organizers, the analytical command centers, and the undisputed titan of heavy-duty commercial repair. You are now looking at the top tier of what the 2026 market has to offer. But what if your specific situation does not fit neatly into these massive operational categories? What if you are a highly ambitious younger mechanic who just secured the lease on your very first 3-bay shop? You do not have the massive capital reserves to invest in top-tier enterprise software, but you absolutely refuse to run your new business on paper invoices and outdated desktop programs. You need a platform that delivers modern, cloud-based power, integrated digital vehicle inspections, and seamless customer communication, but at a price point that will not suffocate your fragile cash flow during those critical first 2 years of operation. You need the ultimate underdog software, the budget-friendly powerhouse that punches completely above its weight class. In the next segment, we are going to break down the exact platform that is quietly helping a massive wave of young automotive entrepreneurs build incredibly profitable shops from the ground up without breaking the bank. Enter ARI, which stands for Auto Repair Software. If we examine the historical trends of independent shop ownership over the last 5 years leading up to 2026, a massive shift has occurred. Thousands of highly skilled technicians have become completely disillusioned with the corporate dealership flat rate system and have decided to strike out on their own. They are cashing out their retirement accounts, signing terrifying commercial leases on small, dusty industrial warehouses, and betting everything on their own 2 hands. But when these incredibly talented mechanics sit down to set up their administrative infrastructure, they experience extreme sticker shock. The top-tier enterprise software platforms we just analyzed are phenomenal, but they require a significant monthly financial commitment. When you are a new business owner sweating over your first electric bill and trying to afford a vehicle lift, dropping hundreds of dollars a month on software is a physically painful prospect. This is the exact market vacuum where ARI completely dominates. It is the ultimate digital multi-tool for the lean, aggressive automotive startup, providing astonishing functionality at a fraction of the enterprise cost. Let us look at a highly detailed case study to illustrate the potential outcomes of deploying this underdog platform. Imagine a young technician named Marcus. It is early 2026 and Marcus has just left his job as a lead diagnostic technician at a massive corporate dealership in Phoenix, Arizona. He has taken the terrifying leap of faith to open his own 3-bay independent shop. His capital is incredibly tight. He has spent almost his entire budget on a high-end diagnostic scanner, a reliable 2-post automotive lift, and a heavy-duty air compressor. When it comes to outfitting his front office, he simply cannot afford a $2,000 desktop computer system and a $300 monthly software subscription. He needs a solution that works right now using the hardware he already owns. Marcus downloads the ARI application directly onto his personal smartphone and his relatively inexpensive Android tablet. Within 20 minutes, without a lengthy corporate onboarding process or a dedicated training seminar, his entire business is operationally live. The true power of ARI lies in its aggressive mobile-first architecture. It was not originally built for a desktop and then clumsily ported over to a mobile app as an afterthought. It was designed from the ground up to be operated by a mechanic with greasy hands holding a smartphone. When Marcus gets his very first customer, a walk-in with a 2018 sedan exhibiting a check engine light, he does not walk back to a desk. He stands right next to the vehicle in the parking lot. He opens the ARI application and uses his smartphone camera to scan the vehicle identification number located on the dashboard. The software instantly decodes the VIN, pulling the exact year, make, model, and engine specifications into a brand new digital repair order. Marcus does not have to type a single letter of the vehicle data. He then uses the integrated Carfax feature to instantly pull the vehicle's entire service history. Right there in the parking lot, he can see that this specific vehicle has not had its transmission fluid serviced in over 60,000 miles, providing him with an immediate, data-backed recommendation to offer the customer. Once Marcus pulls the car into his bay and diagnoses a faulty mass airflow sensor, he needs to build a professional estimate. In the past, budget software meant you had to manually guess the labor times or look them up in a physical book. ARI completely eliminates this amateur approach by integrating directly with massive automotive databases to provide accurate, industry-standard labor times and parts pricing. Marcus taps his screen, selects the mass airflow sensor replacement, and the software automatically populates the exact required labor hours. He adds his custom labor rate, and the platform generates a beautifully formatted, highly professional digital estimate. He can attach photos of the dirty sensor directly from his phone's camera roll. With one more tap, this estimate is emailed or texted directly to the customer. When the customer opens the link on their own phone, they do not see a cheap, amateur invoice. They see a sleek, corporate-level presentation complete with Marcus's new business logo, legally binding terms and conditions, and a clear breakdown of costs. They can digitally sign the estimate on their touchscreen, instantly authorizing Marcus to begin the repair. This level of extreme professionalism completely masks the fact that Marcus is operating a brand new, lean startup from a small industrial park. Furthermore, ARI handles the critical aspect of back-end accounting and payment processing, which is usually the weakest point for a technician-turned-owner. When the repair is finished, Marcus converts the approved estimate into a final invoice with a single button press. He utilizes the platform's integrated payment gateways to process the customer's credit card directly through his tablet. The funds are routed to his new business bank account, and the paid invoice is logged in the system's database. ARI also includes essential, straightforward reporting features. At the end of his first month, Marcus can open the application and instantly see his total gross revenue, his exact profit margins on parts versus labor, and his collection rates. He can easily export these exact figures to a spreadsheet to send to his local accountant for tax preparation. It provides all the mandatory operational metrics required to keep a new business legally compliant and financially transparent, without drowning the user in overwhelmingly complex analytical data. We must, however, maintain absolute objectivity and look at the realistic limitations of this budget-friendly platform. If we study historical trends of business growth, a shop utilizing ARI will eventually face an operational ceiling. This software is a spectacular launchpad, but it is not a multi-location enterprise command center. If Marcus is wildly successful and 3 years later he is running a massive 12-bay operation with 3 service advisors, a dedicated parts manager, and 10 technicians, the simplistic, mobile-first design of ARI will begin to bottleneck his workflow. He will eventually lack the granular, deeply complex employee efficiency tracking and the massive, multi-store inventory synchronization features found in the top-tier systems. Additionally, because it is built for the masses at a low price point, the customer support relies heavily on email ticketing rather than dedicated, instant response phone concierges. But for the hungry entrepreneur, the mobile mechanic, or the small shop owner who refuses to be bled dry by high monthly software subscriptions, ARI is an absolute game changer. It democratizes professional shop management, proving that you do not need massive corporate backing to run a highly efficient, digitally integrated automotive business in 2026. Now we have exhaustively covered the systems that manage your front counter, your invoices, and your customer communication. But what happens when the car is actually in the bay, and your technician is staring at a complex electrical nightmare that makes absolutely no sense? Managing the business is only half the battle. Actually fixing the highly computerized vehicles of 2026 is the other. If your technicians do not have immediate, high-speed access to original equipment manufacturer repair procedures, precise wiring diagrams, and the latest technical service bulletins, your shop will grind to a devastating halt. In the next phase of this masterclass, we are pivoting away from shop management and diving deep into the absolute best automotive repair information software platforms in the United States. We are going to look at the exact digital tools that the highest-paid master diagnostic technicians use to solve the impossible problems, and how choosing the right information system can drastically cut down your diagnostic time and skyrocket your bay productivity. The vehicles pulling into American service bays in 2026 are no longer merely mechanical machines. They are rolling, highly integrated local area networks on wheels. A modern passenger vehicle contains anywhere from 50 to over 100 individual computer modules, all constantly communicating with each other across high-speed controller area network data lines at microsecond intervals. You are no longer diagnosing a bad ground circuit with a simple incandescent test light. If a technician incorrectly probes the wrong communication wire with a test light today, they can instantly fry a $3,000 body control module, completely immobilizing the vehicle. This absolute reality dictates that having the highest quality repair information software is not a luxury. It is a mandatory, non-negotiable requirement for business survival. When you are staring down a parasitic battery drain that is killing a vehicle overnight, or a complex network communication fault code that has simultaneously disabled the power steering, the anti-lock brakes, and the instrument cluster, you need original equipment manufacturer data. This brings us directly to the undisputed heavyweight champion of diagnostic information platforms in the United States, ALDATA. If we deeply analyze the historical trends of automotive repair databases, ALDATA was the primary pioneer that fundamentally shifted how independent shops could compete with massive, highly funded dealership networks. Their core operational philosophy is brutal, highly effective, and completely uncompromising. They provide the exact, unedited, original equipment manufacturer repair information. They do not summarize the manufacturer's diagnostic procedures. They do not abbreviate the critical torque specifications to save digital storage space. When your technician pulls up a 2024 domestic pickup truck in the ALDATA system, they are looking at the exact same factory engineering manuals, the exact same pinpoint diagnostic flowcharts, and the exact same highly specific technical service bulletins that a factory-trained master technician is looking at inside the dealership service bay down the street. In the highly complex, immensely high-stakes environment of 2026, This level of pure, unadulterated engineering data is your primary shield against catastrophic diagnostic errors and immense legal liability. Let us dive deep into a high-stakes diagnostic case study to closely observe the potential outcomes of utilizing ALDATA in a real-world scenario. Imagine a master diagnostic technician named Kevin working in a bustling, high-volume independent shop in Denver, Colorado. It is a Friday afternoon, and a frantic customer tows in a 2023 luxury crossover SUV. The customer states that while driving on the highway, the dashboard went completely blank, the transmission will currently not shift out of park, and the engine cooling fans are screaming at maximum speed the moment the ignition button is pressed. A lesser-equipped shop, lacking proper information systems, might resort to the disastrous method of throwing expensive parts at this vehicle. They might blindly replace the instrument cluster or the main engine control module, praying for a lucky fix. This is a rapid, guaranteed path to severe financial loss and furious customers. Kevin, however, utilizes a data-driven approach. He connects his advanced diagnostic scan tool and pulls a complete vehicle health report. He discovers 20 different network communication fault codes, indicating that an entire high-speed data bus has completely crashed. Kevin turns to his workstation monitor and opens the ALDATA platform. He types in the exact 17-digit vehicle identification number to ensure he has the precise build data and wiring architecture for that specific trim level. He navigates immediately to the interactive color wiring diagrams. In older legacy systems, wiring diagrams were scanned black and white documents that were incredibly difficult to read and completely static. ALDATA's interactive diagrams in 2026 are a technological masterpiece of efficiency. Kevin locates the high-speed controller area network schematic. The monitor displays a massively complex web of intersecting lines connecting 20 different computer modules. But Kevin uses his mouse to click directly on the primary data wire. Instantly, the software highlights that specific wire in bright neon green, while simultaneously dimming all the other unrelated electrical circuits on the screen into a muted background gray. He can visually trace this single highlighted green line seamlessly across multiple digital pages, through massive firewall bulkhead connectors, and directly into the specific PIN number of every single module residing on that network. By following this highly visible digital path, Kevin formulates a targeted strategic diagnostic plan. He uses the schematic to identify the easiest, most accessible connector to physically split the network in half for testing. The ALDATA component location feature provides him with a high-resolution photograph of the exact location of this hidden splice pack, buried deep under the passenger side floor carpet. He pulls the carpet, accesses the splice, and uses a digital oscilloscope to measure the network voltage activity. By systematically isolating the network based precisely on the ALDATA schematic, he discovers that a blind spot monitoring module located inside the rear bumper cover has suffered severe water intrusion due to a microscopic crack in the plastic housing. The internally shorted module was pulling the entire network voltage down, causing the engine computer, the transmission computer, and the instrument cluster to completely lose communication. Kevin replaces the damaged module. But in the year 2026, simply bolting on a new module like a blind spot radar is only the first step of the repair process. This brings us to the most critical, legally sensitive feature embedded inside ALDATA: the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, or ADAS calibration parameters. Historical trends in automotive litigation clearly demonstrate that if a repair facility replaces a safety-critical radar module and fails to calibrate it properly, and that vehicle subsequently gets into a highway collision because the blind spot monitor failed to alert the driver, the repair shop faces catastrophic legal exposure and massive insurance claims. Kevin uses ALDATA to pull the exact, step-by-step manufacturer calibration procedure. The software explicitly details the required environmental conditions. The shop floor must be perfectly level within 1 degree, there can be no reflective metal surfaces within a 30-foot radius, and the physical calibration target must be placed exactly 3.5 meters behind the rear axle centerline, offset precisely 1.2 meters to the driver's side. Kevin follows these microscopic engineering details to the exact letter, performs the dynamic scan tool calibration sequence, and mathematically verifies the safety system is perfectly operational. The shop just billed out 5 hours of highly profitable diagnostic and calibration labor, and the customer received a completely safe, perfectly repaired vehicle, all made entirely possible by uncompromised OEM data. However, we must ruthlessly evaluate the realistic trade-offs of the ALDATA platform. Because they are legally bound to present the information exactly as the manufacturer originally published it, the user interface can sometimes feel disjointed depending on the specific vehicle you are repairing. The navigation tree for a complex German luxury sedan will look wildly different from the navigation tree of a standard domestic pickup truck, simply because those two automotive manufacturers organize their internal engineering data completely differently. This requires the technician to possess a high level of critical thinking, patience, and software adaptability. Furthermore, sifting through hundreds of pages of dense engineering text to find one specific component testing procedure can be incredibly time-consuming if you do not know exactly what specific keyword or acronym to search for. ALDATA gives you the entire encyclopedic universe of the vehicle, but it does not hold your hand and point you directly to the most common failure. This massive encyclopedic approach to diagnostics is absolutely perfect for solving the impossible, deeply hidden electrical nightmares, but it raises a massive strategic question for the shop owner who is intensely focused on extreme bay velocity and maximum daily car count. What if the vehicle sitting in your service bay does not have an impossible 1 in a million electrical failure? What if it has a highly common, extensively documented issue that thousands of other technicians across the United States have already diagnosed and solved? Digging through a 300-page factory manual to find the diagnostic procedure for a highly common fault is a massive waste of precious billable hours. What if there was a software platform that functioned exactly like a massive, digitally connected brain trust of millions of technicians, analyzing real-world repair orders to tell your mechanics exactly what component fails the most often on that specific vehicle, including the exact shortcut to verify the fix? If you want to dramatically slash your diagnostic time on everyday bread-and-butter repairs and skyrocket your bay productivity, you need a completely different type of intelligence. Get ready, because we are about to pull back the curtain on the ultimate diagnostic cheat code for the modern automotive technician. Enter Identifix Direct Hit. If ALDATA is the exhaustive, unabridged encyclopedia of automotive engineering, Identifix is the highly strategic, incredibly lucrative cheat sheet compiled by millions of your peers. To understand the immense power of this platform, you must first understand a fundamental reality of the American automotive industry in 2026. Vehicles are mass-produced on massive assembly lines. This means that when an engineering flaw exists, or a specific component is manufactured with a slight subpar tolerance, that exact same failure is going to happen on hundreds of thousands of vehicles across the country at roughly the same mileage interval. These are called pattern failures. If a specific mass airflow sensor on a high-volume domestic sedan routinely fails at 80,000 miles, thousands of mechanics are going to experience the exact same diagnostic headache simultaneously. Identifix capitalizes on this massive statistical probability by crowdsourcing the exact solutions from repair shops nationwide and organizing them into a high-speed search engine. Let us run through a highly realistic case study to demonstrate the potential outcomes of utilizing this collective intelligence. Imagine an incredibly busy technician named Sarah, operating out of an 8-bay facility in Orlando, Florida, in the year 2026. It is a sweltering Tuesday afternoon, and she is dispatched a 2019 Ford Escape. The customer complaint is incredibly vague and deeply frustrating. The vehicle occasionally stalls when coming to a hard stop at a red light, but it restarts immediately. There is no check engine light illuminated on the dashboard, and a preliminary scan of the engine control module reveals absolutely zero stored fault codes. In a traditional diagnostic workflow, this is a nightmare scenario. Without a code to provide a starting point, a technician could spend 3 agonizing hours performing physical fuel pressure tests, monitoring live sensor data on a test drive, and manually checking vacuum lines with a smoke machine, all while the service advisor is nervously watching the clock because the customer is waiting in the lobby. Instead of going down that massive rabbit hole, Sarah walks over to her workstation and logs into Identifix Direct Hit. She inputs the vehicle parameters and simply types the symptom into the main search bar. Engine stalls when stopping. In less than 2 seconds, the platform searches a massive database of millions of real-world repair orders from thousands of independent shops and dealership service departments across the United States. The screen instantly populates with a highly visual, prioritized list of confirmed fixes. At the very top of the screen, Sarah sees a massive red bar graph indicating that out of 450 similar complaints on this exact vehicle, 410 of them were solved by replacing the evaporative emissions purge valve. Identifix does not just give her the answer. It gives her the exact hyper-efficient shortcut to verify it. Sarah clicks on the top confirmed fix, and the software provides a concise, step-by-step testing procedure specifically written by an ASE master technician on the Identifix hotline staff. It tells her exactly which hose to disconnect under the hood and instructs her to feel for engine vacuum, while the valve is electronically commanded closed. Sarah walks over to the Ford Escape, performs this highly specific 2-minute physical test, and instantly confirms that the valve is internally stuck open, flooding the engine with fuel vapor when the vehicle decelerates. She has completely bypassed hours of frustrating diagnostic dead ends. She found the root cause of an intermittent, no-code drivability issue in less than 10 minutes. Historical trends and operational data from high-volume repair facilities prove that minimizing diagnostic time on pattern failures is the single fastest way to drastically increase daily bay velocity and overall shop profitability. When Sarah diagnoses that vehicle in 10 minutes instead of 3 hours, she frees up her bay for another high-margin repair. Furthermore, Identifix integrates labor guides and parts catalogs directly on the exact same page as the confirmed fix. Once Sarah confirms the bad purge valve, she simply clicks a button on the same screen to pull the required labor time and the aftermarket parts pricing, instantly generating an accurate estimate for the service advisor. This seamless transition from diagnosis to estimation completely eliminates the administrative friction that slows down shop operations. We must also deeply examine the profound value of the Identifix hotline archives. Let us say you run into a truly bizarre issue that does not have a massive bar graph of confirmed fixes. Perhaps it is a strange electrical communication error on a lower volume European vehicle. Over the past 2 decades, when technicians have gotten completely stuck, they have called the Identifix support hotline to speak with brand-specific master diagnostics specialists. Identifix records the entire trajectory of these incredibly complex troubleshooting sessions and archives them in the database. When you search a weird symptom, you are often reading the exact transcripts and testing steps developed by 2 master technicians working together over the phone to solve an identical problem 5 years ago. It is like having an entire team of specialized factory engineers standing over your technician's shoulder, whispering the exact next step to take when the diagnostic scanner provides no clear direction. However, to maintain absolute objectivity, we must address the specific limitations of a crowdsourced pattern failure database. Identifix is undeniably the greatest tool on the market for solving the 80% of problems that happen to everyone else. But what about the remaining 20%? What if the vehicle in Sarah's bay does not have a common purge valve failure? What if the previous owner installed an aftermarket alarm system using cheap wire splices, and moisture has intruded into the harness, causing a completely unique, one-of-a-kind electrical short circuit? In this scenario, Identifix will be largely useless, because there is no historical pattern for a custom, self-inflicted wiring disaster. If your technician blindly trusts the top confirmed fix and replaces the purge valve without actually performing the physical verification test, your shop will experience a highly embarrassing and costly comeback. Relying exclusively on pattern failures without understanding the underlying engineering principles will turn your technicians into mere parts replacers, which is a dangerous liability. This reality creates a massive structural dilemma for the ambitious auto repair shop owner in 2026. You clearly need the deep, unedited factory wiring diagrams of a platform like ALDATA to solve the impossible electrical nightmares, but you also desperately need the crowdsourced speed and bay velocity of a platform like Identifix to quickly push out the daily bread and butter repairs. Subscribing to both enterprise-level information systems, in addition to the premium shop management software we discussed earlier, can create a massive overhead expense that crushes your monthly cash flow. But what if you did not have to choose? What if a massive software conglomerate looked at this deeply fragmented industry and decided to completely merge the front counter management system, the OEM engineering data, and the real-world pattern failures into one gigantic, unified ecosystem? What if you never had to switch between 3 different browser tabs ever again? In the next segment, we are going to dissect the absolute titan of the industry, a platform that attempts to monopolize your entire business infrastructure from the moment the customer calls to the moment the technician torques the final bolt. Enter Mitchell 1, the undisputed grandfather of the automotive software industry that has aggressively evolved into a modern technological behemoth. To understand the sheer scale of this platform in 2026, you must understand that Mitchell 1 does not just want to manage your front counter, and it does not just want to provide your diagnostic data. It wants to completely consume your entire operational workflow by seamlessly welding its flagship shop management system, Manager SE, directly to its world-class repair information database, ProDemand. Historical trends over the last decade show that the greatest source of wasted time in any high-volume independent shop is the constant, frustrating context switching between different software programs. Service advisors are manually retyping 17-digit vehicle identification numbers from the management software into the repair database. Technicians are writing down labor times on scrap paper to hand back to the front desk, and parts margins are constantly miscalculated during the manual transfer. Mitchell 1 eliminates this massive administrative bottleneck by creating a closed-loop digital ecosystem where the management side and the diagnostic side speak the exact same language in real time. Let us explore a highly detailed case study to observe the potential outcomes of deploying this unified system. Imagine a seasoned business owner named Robert, operating a massive, high-pressure 15-bay facility in Houston, Texas. It is a chaotic Monday morning in 2026, and the phone rings. Because Robert utilizes the advanced telephony integration within Mitchell 1 Manager SE, the system recognizes the incoming phone number before the service advisor even picks up the receiver. The software instantly pops open the customer profile on the monitor, displaying their complete vehicle history, outstanding recommended services, and average lifetime value. The customer, driving a 2021 Chevrolet Silverado, complains of an intermittent rough idle and a flashing check engine light. The service advisor creates the repair order with 2 clicks. Because the vehicle is already in the system, the VIN, engine specifications, and license plate are instantly populated. Now we witness the true power of the Mitchell 1 ecosystem. The service advisor assigns the diagnostic ticket to a master technician named James. James walks up to his workstation in the service bay and opens the exact same software environment. He does not have to copy the VIN or search for the vehicle. He simply clicks a button inside the repair order labeled ProDemand, and he is instantly teleported into the diagnostic database, exactly on the page for that specific Chevrolet Silverado. This brings us to the crown jewel of the Mitchell 1 diagnostic architecture, OneSearch Plus. This specific search engine was engineered to completely solve the dilemma we discussed in the previous section regarding choosing between factory data and crowdsourced pattern failures. OneSearch Plus violently forces both types of intelligence into one single highly streamlined dashboard. James connects his scan tool to the Silverado and retrieves a highly specific manufacturer-defined misfire code. He types this exact code into the OneSearch Plus search bar. The software does not give him a terrifying list of hundreds of complex PDF documents to sift through. Instead, it presents a visual dashboard organized by the natural diagnostic workflow. In the first column, he sees the real-world intelligence. The software instantly queries millions of actual repair orders from across the United States and displays a bar graph showing the most common components that fix this exact code on this exact engine. James can clearly see that 70% of the time, this code is triggered by a failing fuel injector harness rubbing against a sharp metal bracket near the intake manifold. However, James is a master technician, and he knows that blindly trusting statistics without verification is dangerous. He moves his eyes to the second column on the exact same screen, where OneSearch Plus provides the unedited original equipment manufacturer testing procedures. He clicks on the OEM wiring diagram, which is fully interactive, allowing him to highlight the specific fuel injector ground circuit and trace it directly to the engine control module. He uses the OEM pinout charts to test the circuit voltage, physically confirming that the harness is indeed shorting out against the metal bracket, exactly as the real-world data suggested. He has utilized the speed of crowdsourced intelligence and validated it with the absolute precision of factory engineering data, completing a highly complex diagnosis in a fraction of the traditional time. But the workflow integration is not finished. Once James confirms the required repair, he does not walk back to the service desk. Still inside ProDemand, he clicks on the parts and labor guide. He selects the OEM replacement wiring harness and the manufacturer-designated labor time for the replacement procedure. With one single click of a button labeled Transfer to Quote, that highly accurate data is instantly pushed out of the diagnostic software and directly into the customer's pending estimate inside Manager SE, on the service advisor screen at the front counter. The parts markup matrix automatically applies Robert's required profit margins, and the final estimate is generated flawlessly without a single keystroke of manual data entry from the front staff. This completely eliminates the terrifying human errors that occur when service writers accidentally transpose part numbers or guess labor times, ensuring that every single job is billed out with ruthless accuracy. We must also deeply analyze the back-end retention power of the Mitchell 1 ecosystem. specifically their integrated social CRM marketing platform. In the brutal economic landscape of 2026, you cannot rely on customers simply remembering to return to your facility. Social CRM acts as an invisible, tireless marketing director that runs entirely in the background of Manager SE. When the Silverado is fully repaired and the customer pays the invoice, the system automatically triggers a highly sequenced communication protocol. 2 days later, it sends a personalized text message thanking the customer and politely requesting a review on a major search engine, driving localized digital dominance. 6 months later, it calculates the estimated mileage driven based on historical trends and automatically sends a highly targeted email reminding the customer that their synthetic oil service is due, complete with a direct link to the online scheduling calendar. Case studies indicate that shops utilizing this automated retention loop see a massive increase in repeat customer frequency and a dramatic reduction in lapsed clientele. However, we must strictly evaluate the objective realities of implementing a titan like Mitchell 1. Because it is an incredibly dense, immensely powerful legacy system that has been continuously built upon for decades, the user interface on the Manager SE side can feel decidedly industrial and slightly antiquated when compared to the hypermodern, drag-and-drop aesthetics of newer cloud-based competitors. It is designed for maximum data density, not necessarily visual elegance, which can overwhelm newer service advisors during the initial onboarding phase. Additionally, while Mitchell 1 has made massive strides in cloud connectivity, many high-volume shops in 2026 still run Manager SE on a local physical server within the shop to ensure absolute maximum speed and zero latency during massive inventory queries. This requires a dedicated local IT infrastructure, robust physical data backups, and a slightly higher level of technical maintenance than a pure web browser-based application. Finally, the financial investment is substantial, as you are purchasing an enterprise-grade management system, a world-class diagnostic database, and an automated marketing engine simultaneously. You now possess a deeply comprehensive understanding of the absolute best automotive software platforms operating in the United States economy. We have analyzed the visual organizers, the analytical command centers, the heavy-duty titans, the budget-friendly disruptors, and the massive integrated ecosystems. But possessing this knowledge is only the first step of the journey, and the next step is widely considered the most dangerous phase of business ownership. Choosing the software is easy. Actually migrating your massive, highly sensitive customer database, your complex inventory matrix, and your historical accounting records from your old system to your new system without destroying your business in the process is terrifying. One corrupted file transfer, one mapping error, or 1 week of complete operational downtime during the switch can bankrupt an independent shop. In the final segment of this masterclass, we are going to outline the exact highly critical transition blueprint. I am going to show you the step-by-step methodology for executing a flawless digital migration, ensuring that you do not lose a single customer record, a single penny of accounting data, or a single hour of technician productivity when you finally pull the trigger and upgrade your shop. The transition process is where the theoretical benefits of your brand new software collide violently with the brutal, high-speed reality of your daily shop operations. You can purchase the most expensive, highly integrated cloud-based platform on the market, but if you execute the migration poorly, the resulting chaos will severely damage your cash flow and completely destroy the morale of your employees. Historical trends regarding massive digital transitions in the automotive sector clearly demonstrate that the vast majority of software failures do not happen because the platform itself is defective. They happen because the shop owner attempted to perform a massive data extraction over a single weekend without a meticulous, step-by-step contingency plan. Executing a flawless digital migration requires military-grade precision, and it absolutely must begin weeks before you ever process your first live repair order on the new system. The very first phase of this blueprint is the comprehensive data audit, also known as digital hygiene. You absolutely cannot pour dirty water into a clean glass and expect a pure result. Let us utilize a highly specific case study to illustrate the potential outcomes of ignoring this critical step. Imagine an automotive entrepreneur named Jennifer, who runs a highly successful, 8-bay domestic repair facility in Seattle, Washington. It is the summer of 2026 and Jennifer has decided to finally retire her legacy, server-based management system that she has utilized for 15 years. Over those 15 years, her front counter staff has manually entered thousands of customer profiles, heavily modified the inventory matrix, and created hundreds of custom labor codes. When Jennifer runs a preliminary database export, she discovers a terrifying reality. She has over 4,000 duplicate customer profiles because service advisors routinely misspelled names rather than searching for existing accounts. She has 300 obsolete inventory profiles for parts that fit vehicles from the late 1990s, parts she has not physically stocked in a decade. If Jennifer blindly hands this massive, corrupted database to her new software vendor for integration, she will instantly infect her brand-new, hyper-efficient platform with 15 years of compounded human error. Her new automated marketing engine will send duplicate text messages to the same frustrated clients, and her new inventory valuation will be mathematically catastrophic. Before any transition occurs, Jennifer must enforce a total freeze on creating new inventory profiles in the old system, dedicate a staff member to manually merge duplicate customer accounts, and aggressively write off dead inventory. You must rigorously sanitize your historical data before allowing it to cross the digital threshold into your new ecosystem. Once the data is meticulously sanitized and handed over to the vendor for staging, you must immediately enter the sandbox phase. You cannot mathematically expect your service advisors or your technicians to learn a highly complex, deeply integrated software platform while a frustrated customer is standing at the front counter demanding their keys. The cognitive load is simply too immense. Historical trends in operational management show that muscle memory dictates the speed of your service desk. Your lead advisor might have spent the last 5 years navigating your old system without even looking at the keyboard. Introducing a radically new user interface will instantly shatter that speed. Therefore, you must demand a sandbox environment from your new software provider. This is a fully functional replica of your new software, loaded with dummy data, disconnected from your live accounting feeds. For 2 full weeks prior to the live launch, your entire staff must run highly complex simulation drills inside this sandbox. Your technicians must practice uploading digital vehicle inspection photos from their tablets. Your advisors must build massive, multi-line estimates, and your parts manager must simulate processing core returns. They need to make their critical mistakes, accidentally delete repair orders, and completely crash the simulated workflow in an environment where there are absolutely zero financial consequences. Following the sandbox simulations, high-volume operations must strictly implement a parallel run stress test. A direct, overnight cutover for a massive multi-bay facility is an unacceptable operational risk. For exactly 1 week, the shop must operate both systems simultaneously. When a customer drops off a vehicle, the service advisor creates the legally binding repair order in the old legacy system to ensure continuity of the current workflow. Immediately afterward, a dedicated administrative employee exactly duplicates that same ticket into the new cloud platform. This exhausting, redundant process is absolutely mandatory because it explicitly exposes deep structural mapping errors that a simple data transfer cannot detect. For example, your legacy system might categorize a synthetic oil change revenue under a general maintenance ledger, while your new software is hard-coded to map that specific transaction directly to a specialized fluids ledger. If this mapping discrepancy is not caught, your gross profit margins on parts will look completely disastrous at the end of the month, triggering a massive, highly expensive forensic accounting nightmare. The parallel run identifies these precise data conflicts, allowing your software representative to recalibrate the back-end architecture before the actual financial data goes live. When you finally reach the designated weekend for the hard cutover protocol, the execution must be absolute. The transition must occur during the lowest possible operational tempo, typically a Saturday evening after the final vehicle has been dispatched. At this exact moment, every single open repair order in the legacy system must be physically completed, invoiced, and permanently closed out. You cannot mathematically migrate a half-finished, pending repair ticket across 2 entirely different software architectures without risking severe data corruption. Jennifer pays her Seattle team extensive overtime on a Friday evening to ruthlessly finalize every open job in the shop. If a vehicle is sitting on a lift waiting for a backorder transmission, that ticket is closed out in the old system and manually re-entered as a brand new, ground-up repair order in the new system on Monday morning. Once every ticket is closed, the final data extraction occurs, the vendor injects the sanitized numbers into the new database, and the old server is physically disconnected from the network to prevent any accidental entries. When you open the doors on Monday morning, you must enter a state of hypercare. Despite the rigorous sandbox training and the parallel runs, Monday will be incredibly chaotic. Case studies of successful transitions show that the most strategic owners intentionally reduce their daily car count scheduling by 20% during the first live week. They deliberately sacrifice a small margin of short-term revenue to create the necessary time buffer for their staff to navigate the inevitable friction of the new workflow. Furthermore, you must ensure that a dedicated support engineer from your software provider is either physically present in your facility or immediately accessible on a direct priority phone line. When a technician's tablet unexpectedly drops the wireless connection during a critical engine inspection, your service advisor cannot afford to spend 45 minutes navigating a generic, automated corporate call center. You now possess the comprehensive, highly detailed architectural blueprint of the absolute best automotive software platforms operating in the United States economy in 2026. You understand the profound differences between visual organizers, analytical command centers, heavy-duty titans, and massive integrated ecosystems, and you know exactly how to execute the terrifying migration process without destroying your livelihood. You are entirely equipped to completely modernize the digital nervous system of your business. But possessing the most advanced, hyper-efficient cloud software in the world is completely irrelevant if you do not have highly skilled, reliable mechanics actually turning the wrenches in your bays. The United States is currently facing the most severe, deeply entrenched automotive technician shortage in modern industrial history. You can build the perfect digital infrastructure, but if your vehicle lifts are sitting empty, your business will collapse under the weight of its own overhead. How do you actually convince top-tier, master diagnostic technicians to leave their comfortable, highly secure dealership jobs and come work for your independent shop? How do you construct a compensation package that completely dominates your local market and makes your facility the absolute premier destination for elite automotive talent? In our next massive, completely unedited deep dive, we are going to tear apart the traditional failing automotive hiring process and reveal the highly aggressive underground strategies that the most profitable shop owners in the country are currently using to build an absolute dream team of master mechanics. You need to see this exact blueprint, because the strategies we are going to uncover will fundamentally change how you manage your payroll and your entire business future forever.